All right. Welcome to KitaCast, episode 6.
Yeah, we made it that far.
My God, I can't believe we are still alive. We've done some shit, and we've seen some shit, but we're still here. Talking right into your ear holes is Nedu, also known as Albel. And then to my right we have...
I'm Jamie. I'm also known as J Tanooki. I guess I'm a guest on this one. I'm actually a cosplayer, but I do play video games a lot.
Yes, she does. And to my left we have...
Dan, also known as Dandroid.
Ooh. So this week, Garry isn't with us because
he's halfway around the fucking planet right now.
Yes.
Sure is.
Yeah, that rat bastard. We love you, Garry, I'm sorry.
Yeah, text us, jeez. Never heard from you.
We're starting to get what he looks like. But that's okay, we have the indomitable J Tanooki here with us. So we are in good shape.
I can fill the Asian void.
Yeah, that's basically
also
it.
True.
It's our Asian quota for
Oh,
the
God.
week, so.
Oh, God, you're not just a replacement. Stay with
I'm
us.
pretty much the same thing as Garry.
Oh, yeah, essentially. You're pretty much exactly the same. So in this week's episode, we're actually going to talk about something that is often the bane of my existence. Our gaming backlogs. I am notorious for two things. I love video games. I'm terrible at them, and I also never finish them.
Now, just to put that out there, though, is the fact that, don't act like you're the only one.
Yeah, that's fair.
There are plenty of people out there that absolutely love video games to death, are, not very good at them, or, they enjoy them, but yeah, they just don't either like them, or they don't like certain genres, but they'll still play them, or they just straight up don't finish them.
Yeah.
And that happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't blame you, because we're the same.
Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, as you get older, it's funny, because you're a kid, you're like, oh man, when I'm older, I'm going to be able to play video games all I want, because I won't have to listen to other people.
Because I'm an adult.
Exactly. And then when you get older, you're like, man, I really don't have time, because life happens.
Yeah, because, everybody wants money from you, and for the most of us, we don't make money playing video games, so...
No, and it's an expensive hobby. It
always
really
chase
is.
the dream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One day. I think we'll just kind of jump right into it. First thing I wanted to talk about is when you started noticing that you had too many games. Like, what era was it where you started noticing too many games? What console generation what is it? And at that time, did you kind of start buying less, or what did you do?
Jamie, do you have something for that, or do you need to collect your thoughts for a second?
You know what? Mine's pretty easy to pinpoint. A lot of my backlog comes from the fact that I was never really big into getting portable consoles. I wasn't around, or it wasn't available in my family to be able to have like a Game Boy Color and like Game Boy Advance, and going into like when PlayStation brought out their portable console and stuff. And eventually I did get a Nintendo DS, but there were just so many games out there that I wanted to play. I'm like, I can't afford to do all this. So then I ended up going the route of getting the R4 card and just downloading all my games. But then, of course, the 3DS came out, and then eventually the R4 card was no more, and there were so many root arounds for it that it's like you couldn't download any games for it anymore. They were no longer supported. And so I started noticing around then that it was probably where there were all these games I wanted to play, and then especially now on the 3DS, there's a bunch of games I want to play that are now sequels to games that I had played on the DS, but I just can't justify spending, over $100 on getting a 3DS when I could get a Wii U, or I'm already part way to getting a PS4. And there's, bigger games on there that it's I'd rather play those because I'm going to get a bigger screen and have a bigger, a more technically advanced experience with it. So, I unfortunately can't monetarily justify buying a portable console as much as I enjoy the games that are on there.
Mm-hmm. I understand that. That makes sense.
Yeah. Basically, when I noticed it was... kind of going back to what Jamie said and stuff like that, it's not only that it's there's this sequel to the game that I played. It's there's 2 sequels to a game that I wanted to play that I never got to play, no matter what it was on, whether it was PlayStation or Xbox or, computer or whatever. It was kind of at that point where it was just holy fuck, I really have to go back and play this because I want to not only experience the beginning of it, but I want to experience these other games, and it almost gets a little depressing at that point, because it's like, wow, have I really missed that much already? And then you think about the ones that you have played, it's like, wow, I haven't really played that much, so why haven't I been able to play these other games and everything? Sometimes it is down to the systems you have or don't have, but usually what it comes down to, again, is kind of time and sometimes money, depending on what you're trying to buy. Because, yeah, like, there's a lot of people who go out there and they'll buy stuff, day one, and they spend $60 or $70 on a game and everything like that, and that's good, that's their thing. I personally don't have the money to do that, so I have to wait until some of these games kind of, decrease in value a little, which kind of works, because sometimes if you buy a game at a lowered value, like you go for something that's a few months older, and all of a sudden you pay $40 for something you paid $60 or $70 a few months prior, you almost feel it's better value at that point, because after you play through it and you finish it, you're like, wow, yeah, that was a $40 game. That was not a $60 game.
Yeah, or they come out with their Game of the Year editions, and it's like, oh, it's $40, but you're getting all the other DLC with it that everybody else ended up paying. Once you add the game in, plus the DLC packs that they bought, or costume packs or whatever, then you end up with an over $100 game, and now you're only paying $40 for it just because you waited.
And that's definitely way to go.
Still doesn't decrease in the playability value of it.
And then the other kind of major thing that really showed me what a backlog was all about was when I got into having a Steam account. Because, as most people will know that have a Steam account, sales, man, the sales, they're just too good sometimes, and you can't help but buy.
You're jonesing for it.
20 things. Because it's one of those things, I was a very, very late adopter of Steam. I had always... I was never a big PC guy, because I could never keep my PC, kind of up to standards, as it were. But when I really got into indie gaming heavily, I realized, I don't need a crazy good PC to play a lot of these games. So that, I had only got a Steam account within the past, 2 years or so.
Oh, wow.
And Steam was, long before that. It wasn't always the amazing shop that it was, but it's one of those things, even within the past 2 years, I've gone from, getting a Steam account to having, I don't know, I think over 70 games or something like that. Mm-hmm. The great part is, though, is a lot of the sales, it's I have 70 games, but I've probably spent about a total of about maybe $120 on everything. So it's been pretty awesome, because of different group packing together, or you'll find a game, it's I'll give this one a chance because it's $1.50 on sale or something, and I have very few that were really full price games, a full $15 or $20 game. And usually when it was something I have to fucking play this. I've been watching this for the past year now, and I have to get in on it.
Yeah, or it's an indie title, and you're I don't mind spending that because I know it's actually going to up to a smaller dev team, and not a big AAA title.
Yeah, and I really don't mind giving them some of that money too if they've made that quality product, because I want obviously more out of them. So. But yeah, that's something when I noticed when I had a Steam account and just seeing sequels to games that I still wanted to play at some point. So. You do. I know you're just chomping at the bit here.
Oh, boy. Yeah. Okay, so for me, I think when I really noticed it was when I got the PlayStation 2. Before that,
really that far back?
Yes.
So we're talking 2006 then, or whatever. 2005.
When you got the PlayStation 2, did you get it on release?
No, I got it a little bit later. Got it in high school. I can't remember exactly.
Release was 2001.
Yes.
Or 2000.
It was
because I worked at Toys R Us the year that
I think it was 2001.
I'm pretty sure.
I remember I got it for Christmas.
Yeah, see, I got it in 2003, I believe, or I can't. Whichever year Kingdom Hearts came out, the first Kingdom Hearts. See, it was weird because before that, I had a Nintendo 64, and basically every time myself or my brothers had a birthday, we would get a new game. That was kind of the thing. So we had a good amount of time to kind of play through those games, then renting games was, whatever.
That was still a thing.
Exactly. Yeah, that was still a thing. Yeah, R.I.P. Blockbuster.
Yeah.
But not really. They tried to steal my money one time. Anyway, besides the point. That's a story for another time. So, yeah. I'm surprised by this, too, but I was still pretty good. Even when I had the GameCube, I remember specifically when I got... when I was playing Wind Waker, I remember thinking, I was just oh, man, once I finish this game, I really won't have too much new to play. But then I remember buying a PlayStation 2, and then my brain exploded when I looked at how many games there were, and I was just I must play you.
Yeah, because even a couple years into the cycle of that, they were going friggin' like balls crazy with the game releases.
Oh, absolutely. They were bonkers. And you know what? The thing is that before, because I didn't have a PlayStation, right? So there were so many Japanese RPGs that I'd read about that I read so much about or seen people play, but had never had a chance to play. And I'm like looking at the list of JRPGs on there and pretty much in tears. So
yeah, because you would finally purchase that key that allowed you to play said games because it was backwards compatible, so you could just go in and play whatever the hell you wanted.
Exactly. I got myself Final Fantasy IX, Brave Fencer Musashi, and among a couple other PlayStation classics, and then I picked up so many games as they kept coming out. Like there's, we'll go into the list a little bit more, but as I found that I was able to every once in a while buy a new game, and oftentimes there were JRPGs that were quite long, and I didn't finish many of them. A lot of them I started.
You picked a hell of a genre to go back and play a bunch of games of. Right?
Yeah, exactly. That was the beginning of my downfall. So that console pretty much ruined me as far as finishing games goes, and I think part of my problem too was even at that point I was really into reading and reading about games. I was still trying to write about games as well. I didn't know how. I had no idea how to break into that field at all. So I was pretty much writing for myself at that time. But part of it was because I was also reading video game websites. So I was wanting to be up to date with new games. So I'd sometimes to my I was saving, very much my money was going to university and saving for university and video games. So after I made sure I saved money, I would buy a game that was new, that was being talked about, and then I'd play it a bit, and then I'd read a lot about it, and then I'd write about it. So it was somewhat ill-informed, but I was having fun. And then it's similar to you, Dan, again, with when I started PC gaming, that was more in university. I bought a laptop. That is a piece of garbage, and I still use it. I wanted to break that laptop over my knee. I hate it so much because it's garbage.
But you're glad you didn't.
I'm glad I didn't, because that's when I adopted Steam, and I think I had bought Dragon Age before this, but I was just like, oh yeah. And then there's also Steam, and then again, brain exploded the possibilities of indie games, because this is the easiest way to get all these indie games that I can actually play on this shitty laptop, and I don't even know what my current list is. It's really
like how many games you physically have on your Steam list. Yeah,
and there's so many. Again, just like you say with the sales, you're just like, this game looks awesome, and I'm going to pick it up. It's $1 or it's $3, and a lot of these games I've at least tried very briefly and been like, I love what this game is about, but then haven't had time to get back to it. So that has been a nightmare.
Well, you did better than me, because there's a lot of games on my list where it's like I bought them because this looks cool, or I wanted to play this, and I have 0 hours. There's no time on it, and it's just like I don't know. It's kind of weird, because when I go back and look at some of the ones that I haven't touched yet, I'm like, why the hell haven't I played this? And then it snaps in my head. I'm like, oh right, because if I start playing this, I'm gonna snap out of it 5 hours later and be like, oh shit, I have to go to work or something, and that happens kind of all too often. So I can't do that. I have to, when I go in to play one of those games, all right, I have to set this time aside. I have to know that there's nothing to do, and I'm not going to ruin anything by playing this game, whether it's for 10 minutes or 4 hours. It's just kind of one of those mental things that you have to get over.
Have you guys, started trying to catch up on any of these games, or even watch them on YouTube or something? Have you guys done any of that for games that you've been?
Honestly, even with the whole kind of Let's Play Jimmy Fallon debacle thing over the last couple of weeks and stuff, I have honestly thought about going and watching other people play some of the games that I've wanted to play, because it's you know what, I honestly I like the idea of this game. I wanted to play it, but they still want $40 or $50 for it a couple years later. It's hard to find. Shit like that, and it's just you know what, if I could just sit down for 5 or 6 hours, watch 3 episodes of this, and feel like I played the game, or feel like I enjoyed the game, and I know what it's about and everything like that, I really have no problem with that. And that it's funny, because when I watch a Let's Play, normally I'm about the kind of the banter. I rarely watch it for the game. It's more about the people talking, and it's almost like watching a sitcom at that point. and I've always enjoyed that more. But in that type of situation, like where I'd want to see someone play the game, I just want to see someone play the game. I don't even want commentary. You don't even need to talk. Just play the game. Just play the fucking game. I will watch, and I will be more than happy with that. So I've certainly considered doing that. Yeah. But on the other side of that, I'm like, well, I did spend money on these games, so I really should be trying to play them. Even if it's 50 cents that I spent on a game, I should still get 50 cents worth of entertainment out of it. And some of the games, like, I think that's why I don't have a problem so much with my backlog right now, is because some of the games I've played, Big and Tiny Grandpa's Leftovers, I've played that for a couple hours now. I paid $1 for that game. I've gotten at least $15 to $20 entertainment value out of that game by now. So I really don't, you have that almost that overhead like that, and it's really nice to get that out of some games sometimes, especially when you spend so little on it. It's like, I almost, if I knew it was that good, I would have actually spent, $5 or $6 or $10 on it, depending on who the developer was and what they were doing and everything. But it just happened to be this game that came out of nowhere, and they're just like, buy it because it's $1, and I'm just like, all right, I'll buy it because it's $1. So I did, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. So, but yeah, that's kind of what it comes down to, is I've been trying to go back through that list and at least give a bit of time to each of them. Like when I was playing Joylancer,
right?
Actually, one of the ones that's on my list that I haven't put 0 hours into, but I know I want to play, physically with my hands on, is I think it's called Oniken, which is kind of like a Contra-esque type game. Oh. But they played it on Steam Train, and I saw them play the first couple levels, and I knew, I'm just like, okay, this game looks fucking awesome. I have to give this one some attention. Still haven't done it, but I am going to, definitely, because it's absolutely my style of game.
Oh, so. Cool. Very cool. Yeah. How about you, Jamie?
Well, more recently, actually, it applies to me, fairly recently. I was one of those, I'm a big Kingdom Hearts fan. I love Kingdom Hearts. I love the series of it. I love the characters, I love the style. I like the battle system.
Disney and Final Fantasy.
That's that's
I'm with
huge
you on that.
for me.
Same here.
But I was notorious for constantly restarting Kingdom Hearts 1 and getting to a certain point and then moving on to something else and never actually finishing the game. So I finally, just in the past couple days, actually finished Kingdom Hearts, my own playthrough of it.
Nice.
All the way through. Granted, I did drop it for a while, for a couple months, and then came back into it, because I'm like, I really want to get back into this. And I have, the Kingdom Hearts 1.5 mix, and I'm going to be going out and picking up the 2.5 mix in a while.
Yeah.
But with the whole issue of me with, not really doing portable consoles and stuff, because it was just not monetarily feasible for me, I was really happy that they had, the 1.5 mix and 2.5 mix, where it's, you can go back and experience some of those games that were released on, the DS, and they had the PSP one, and then they had, the mobile platform one. But I kind of hit a weird imbalance with playing Kingdom Hearts 1.5, where I finished the game, and then they have the other two. They have the 358 Days Over 2, and then they have Rechain of Memories in it. And 358 Days Over 2 is just a cinematic movie where they take all the cutscenes and turn it into a 3-hour movie, so you can get the basic plot line of it and how it ties in and all that. And then there's some extra parts where they would normally have a dialogue scene where they don't actually show that because it's not a cutscene in the game, so they put it into a story mode where they just read out that part in text, a page of text, which I really enjoyed. And I probably would have actually gone and played the game if I had the capability to do so. But the thing about Rechain of Memories is that I didn't like the battle system, because it's that weird card-based thing where it's all of your moves are card-based, and then you have to create your combos. So it's you literally have to stack your entire deck of 99 cards perfectly so you can execute these combos. Because if I am in a battle with in a boss fight, I am not going to sit there and scroll through 99 cards to try to create these combos that are going to be efficient enough to actually do something against this boss. Meanwhile, he's hitting me 5 times while I'm searching for these cards. Yeah. I hate that. And especially coming right out of the normal Kingdom Hearts battle system, where it's just constant action and constant, button pushing, and you have your hotkeys for your magic and stuff. Yeah. I couldn't get into that, but it's I still wanted to know about the story. I still want to know what happened and how that all incorporates into the Kingdom Hearts story and everything. So then I ended up just going in on YouTube and finding the exact same thing of what they did for 358 Days Over 2,
Yes.
where somebody took all the cutscenes and just turned it into like a 3-hour movie. And so then I sat there and watched that for an afternoon so that I could still get the story and still follow all this into this world that I love, without having to deal with that awkward gameplay that I'm not used to.
Mm-hmm.
And so that really helped me at least get a feel for more of the story without having to play into it. But then I can still experience the parts of the games that I do want to experience, like actually physically holding the controller and playing it, but then still getting all the context behind it.
Yeah.
So I think that was super relevant for me on like what we're talking about with, and I'm probably going to pretty much do the same thing with Kingdom Hearts 2.5. Like I'll play through the second game, but then like the other games, I don't know if I'm actually going to play them.
Mm-hmm.
I'm probably just going to do a spectator type of thing and just enjoy somebody else's experience while still following the journey and following the story.
Yeah, because if there's anything about Kingdom Hearts, is you have to know the story because it's
there's
convoluted
so much.
as shit.
There's so many games. Like there's so many games.
Platforms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no way that one person can catch up to that. And like not only that, but then also own all those consoles, because it's not like they were all released on the same console either. Like if you had played them during the time when they were relevant and not on the re-release.
Yeah, there's a 3DS game too, right, in the Kingdom Hearts series. That's canon.
Yeah, and there was even like there's a PC game that like not a lot of people know about because it was like a fully card-based battle system too, but it was like straight up card-based, like almost like you're playing like digital Yu-Gi-Oh.
But
kind
see,
of.
that's
But
the
there's
way
still
to do it.
storyline in it.
That's the way to do it, though, is that like if you're gonna make like the other game that had card based,
make it an actual card
it's
game.
like either make a card fighting game or make an action game. Like don't mix the two of them. I know that it's a very Japanese game and they love their card games over there and everything. But coming to like the North American side of it, it's like make one or the other. Don't mix the two because I can understand why a lot of people didn't enjoy that one as much.
For sure. I would say, like, about Birth by Sleep, I would say at least play it a little bit, because that game has some of the best mechanics in the series, in my opinion.
Now, which one is that, though?
Birth by Sleep is the PSP one that's in the 2.5
that one's in the 2.5 minutes.
Okay, so you'll definitely play it then, because it'll be on
that one's an action-based one.
Birth by Sleep is the other playable one, and then
they have
recoded, but that one's just this. They did the same thing where they did a visual novel / cutscene movie with that game.
And as far as I played 358 over 2 days, I would say personally, I think I'm okay with them going on the route of the cinematics. That game, while it's action based, was really imbalanced.
Oh, really? So it's not worth playing that one? Or?
It's interesting. It's just there are a lot of enemies that had tons of HP, and your skills you literally have to hit them for like. If I was in a fight for like half an hour, I'm like, what am I even doing at this point?
So it's just physically draining.
Yeah, I bowed out, so I was okay that they did that. But but I love that they did that too. Even with me catching up on games. I hate to admit, like, I own 2 versions of Portable Ops. I played really far into the PSP version, and I only started playing a little bit in the PS3 version that came out later. But because Metal Gear Solid 5 was coming out, and, like, spoilers abound and this and that, I couldn't wait, unfortunately. I kept playing it, but I was like, you know what, man, I gotta watch the video compilation on YouTube. And I did, and it was really good. Like, I mean, I really enjoyed watching other people experience it, and the story is fantastic. It's actually one of the better, more straightforward Metal Gear Solid stories as well, which is often the case for, like, there's Naked Snake in the past, and there's Solid Snake in the current time, and Naked Snake stories always seem to be a little bit more straightforward. And I actually kind of like him better as a character, too. Mm-hmm. So I was just like, I'm totally in this. So when Metal Gear Solid 5 came out, I was ready. So that was helpful. But as far as trying to catch up on other games, like, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. There's certain games that I'm like, I love this game. I'm not going to come back to this in years. I'm just aware of the fact that, like, hopefully eventually, but I'm like, it's not even on my list. There's other games Tales of the Abyss for PS2, which I will literally play every few years since it came out. I'll play it for a bit and then I'll stop.
Now, do you keep your same like save point, or do you like restart it?
No, I keep the same save point.
Okay.
I remember. I will make notes of what I was doing last time because it's been so long. I mean, and then
so it's like trying to play like a chess by mail game with like, someone in like Germany or something like that, and you're like, you know, send in your moves, and it's like, oh, a year later, I got a response. Here you go, click, and then you're.
That's a pretty good analogy. That's actually a pretty good analogy. That's kind of what it's like. I did the same thing with Persona 4 because it took me almost a year. Actually, I think it took me just over a year to finish that game. So I did the same thing, and then that's kind of what I do with certain games. With other ones, a good friend of mine, Corey, if you're listening, shout out.
No name dropping.
Oh, what? Oh, jeez. So many name dropping. I know this person. No. This friend of mine, he only plays like a few games a year. Like he's very, very conscious of what games he wants, and he'll buy like one game and he'll play the hell out of it. There's 2 games in particular that he's been like yelling at me to finish, and I don't blame him because both games are great. Deus Ex, Deus Ex and
like the original one or
Human Revolutions.
Okay,
yeah,
excellent game.
Yes.
I highly suggest that you finish that one.
I should because I played quite a bit into it. I love it, and then also Dishonored.
See, that's one that I got. I think I got that one for free on PS3.
Okay.
And I have it as a backlog. I had it on my computer, through legal means, and I tried playing the first level.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like something felt a little off about it, but maybe I just wasn't in the mood for like a stealth first person shooter, or maybe it's a little sluggish at the start, like when you're breaking out of the prison and everything.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to give it a try because they've had like multiple Game of the Year editions and it's won all these awards and people just freak out about it because they're just like, this is such an amazing game. And honestly, when Dishonored came out, like that first trailer played, I was like, I have to fucking play this. This looks amazing. And then I felt almost disappointed that I didn't have that drive to keep playing it. But now that I actually have it on my PS3 and stuff like that, I do want to go forward. I do want to play it, and I want to play through it at least to say that I have played it and finished it and everything. Because overall, I mean, it's still, to this day, like when I still see clips from it and trailers and people talk about certain aspects of it, I'm like, yeah, it still sounds completely like my type of game. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, that's definitely
fun.
Oh,
you know what, honestly, quick second here. Another thing that added to my backlog was the awesomeness that is PS Plus.
Oh,
because of all the amazing free games that they give you.
True.
I had so many games, I couldn't even keep them on my fucking hard drive. Yeah. And I still have to play through a bunch of them. Like, I rarely have to buy anything on PSN because they keep cramming all these good games in my face. And it's just like, alright, thanks PlayStation, you're awesome. Like, like Dishonored, Hitman on backlog, I've got, what the hell, there's a couple other big ones. Oh, there was, BioShock Infinite, like these like amazing AAA titles that like I would have spent $60 on, and I just get them for free.
Yes,
it's fucking stellar. But again, just pile it on the backlog because it's shit that I haven't played yet, and I want to.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Actually, that's a perfect segue into our next topic. Is like, what are the biggest, like most glaring games on your backlog that you really want to get back into? And why do you want to get back into them? We talked about that a little bit, but I'm sure there's more that you guys can think of.
Oh, man.
I had started a playthrough of Final Fantasy VII when they had brought it back out on PlayStation Network.
Oh, yeah.
And I got it, and then I started playing through it, and then it went into, like, full Kingdom Hearts syndrome for me, where it's like, I started playing it, and I was really into it, and I was putting in, like, hours on a daily basis, and then something else came up, and then I just dropped it, and I haven't been in the mindset to get back into it. And like it's not like I got like halfway through the game or whatever, but like I've got, probably like 20 hours plugged into it, and I'm not trying to like marathon through it or whatever. Like I'm trying to just kind of coast through the experience. Like I'm not trying to complete it in the, like 60 hours or whatever it was that they said that you can complete the game in. It's like I can max at the clock and it doesn't bother me.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's been sitting there for probably almost a year. And you know what? At this point, I don't even know if I would go back to that save file. I'd probably just start over again now. And then going into another Final Fantasy game, which is fall under the same syndrome, is when they re-released Final Fantasy X and X2.
Oh yeah,
and they did the remaster or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like I started playing through that again, and then again I dropped it. So I get really bad with that. It's like I love all the stories and everything, and I love the characters of all these games that like I enjoy, but it's almost like I don't want to put in any of the work to actually play the game myself, but I still want to enjoy it. That happened to me with the Assassin's Creed series, where I tried playing it, but it's like I just recognized that I'm not a stealthy gamer. I can't really. It's not that like I physically am like totally inept and I don't understand how the control schematics work or anything like that. It's just that's not my gameplay style. And I can recognize where my flaws lie in like the types of games that I enjoy playing and that like I actively enjoy doing the button motions and everything like that. And then games where I'm just like I feel like this is a chore to be holding this controller right now. I would like to just watch the story. And so, I mean, I've been lucky in that I've had somebody around to be able to, like, play some of these games, that it's like, I really love the story, and I really love the characters, and I love the environments, and I love the art style, but then I just get to sit there and be a spectator all of it without putting in any of the work. And then also knowing that it's like, even if I was okay with putting in the work, I know I would be terrible at this game, and then I would just, like, secretly hate it while wanting to enjoy it. I would end up having this love-hate relationship, and now I just have a love relationship with like games like Assassin's Creed and that.
Yeah. No, I that's so interesting, because that's kind of similar to the way I described my relationship with the game Catherine, because I love so much about that game. Like, it's made by the same team who made the Persona games. The presentation's awesome.
Yeah, and like the art style is really cool, and it has like some. It does have really interesting like gameplay aspect to it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, like a lot of that's really intimidating to some people. Like,
oh god,
I think
hate
like
puzzle games. I'm bad at them. I'm not going to play that game. I will just get mad.
Yeah, well, and I even think like say like the Five Nights at Freddy's games are amazing, and it's not that I'm not scared to play horror games or games with jump scares in it, but it's like I watch Markiplier play through them, and like I love him as a Let's Player in that, and as a YouTube personality, but even outside of his me experiencing him playing the Five Nights at Freddy's games, I get to experience the Five Nights at Freddy games because I know that I would never be able to handle the amount of micromanaging that's involved with those games. Like they're even outside of them being of a horror genre and having the jump scares or whatever, they are really like high pressure, high tension situations that you're playing through, and it's like you are always under constant pressure, and like it's just a really difficult game to like even outside of the genre and stuff that it falls in. Yeah. And like I don't know if I'd be able to handle just the pressure of constantly micromanaging and checking everywhere like all the time and always being on high alert like that. Like I feel like that would just like I would be so stressed out and drained after that, but then also just not be able to physically play the game. Like I don't know if I'd be able to handle that kind of the types of requirements that are needed to play it. So I'm glad that I can at least still see all like the little cutscenes and stuff of like Markiplier playing them or whatever.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Dan, did you want to?
Yeah. Honestly, I had to look through a list because it was. I know that there's a bunch out there, so I just had to grab a few examples. I guarantee you, like if you throw some stuff in the comments of people or of, like games you haven't played or you want to play and stuff like that, I guarantee that I probably want to play that game. But actually, two of them that jumped right to the top of the list. I own both of them on my Steam account, and I have not put a single minute into them, and I hear that they're absolutely spectacular games, is Bastion and Transistor.
Oh, yes, both those games are amazing.
I've heard nothing but amazing things about both of these games, and it makes me hurt a little that I have not given them the time that they deserve. But I think that's kind of the issue, too, is that I know that these are not just 2D platforms. I can't just jump in and run and gun and stuff like that. This is something you sit down and you experience, because they have that really interactive narrator and stuff like that, and that's kind of the big deal with the, or at least Bastion. I don't know if Transistor is the same way.
A little bit. Like the narrator's actually your sword, but that's, more into that would be spoilers. That's but that's kind of the main thing. The sword kind of talks to you a bit, so.
And another one from my from my Steam list is one that I was playing with my cousin for the longest time, or I guess the longest time. It was only a couple weekends in a row, but we put in like I think about 30 plus hours on this.
Oh boy!
This thing. It was Mercenary Kings.
Oh,
I don't know if you've ever played that one.
Yes, I have.
before.
Oh, jeez, I need to get back to
But
that game too.
but that see the issue with that one is you need to play that game with other people. Like that's just the way it is. And I don't play online. I don't do the online thing because especially for something like Mercenary Kings, you have to work as a team. You have to know what the other person's doing, and I'd rather have someone on my couch doing that rather than trying to yell at some 12-year-old over a headset about like what they should be doing than just calling me like a noob fag or something like that. Like it's just that's just not my thing. I don't like playing online for that exact reason. So unfortunately, that one has been sitting for a while, and I really do want to get back into it because I absolutely love the like the gun crafting, and I love the gameplay. It just reminds me so much of the classic games that I used to play. So yeah, that one I definitely have to go back to. One of the ones that I'm surprised I haven't played it yet because I have a friend who has it. Like I could easily borrow it. It's just I never got around to playing it yet. Is Saints Row 4 because I've enjoyed the shit out of that series like basically since the start, and I played through Saints Row 3 like twice. And my buddy's just like, no, Saints Row 3 sucks compared to 4. And then, but then again, I've heard kind of the opposite. I've heard that 3 was better than 4. So the thing though that really kind of drew me to 4 when it got announced and everything was that not only is it ridiculous to the point where you're the president of the United States, you also get superpowers. And I was just like,
as you do.
Hell yeah, like that's right up my alley. Like I used to play the shit out of like Champions Online.
Yeah.
And,
I love that.
City of Heroes.
Yes, both those games are great.
I love the create your own superhero and the fact that you get Saints Row gameplay, which is like Grand Theft Auto clone kind of thing, but you basically have to be a superhero almost because you get those superpowers. I was like, this is like almost the ultimate game. Like this is what I've always fucking wanted, and it just and I just never got around to playing it yet. So I definitely still have to play that one. Another big one that a lot of friends have been telling me to play is Stick of Truth, like the South Park game.
Yes, I've heard good things.
Especially because the second one comes out, I guess, early next year, or do you know when that comes out?
I don't remember.
Because I know that they showed like a really awesome trailer. I think at E3 this year.
Yeah.
And it was one of those ones like, I like RPGs. I don't love them. I will play them from time to time, but they're not my go-to game. And also because it was South Park, I enjoyed South Park up until I think season, it was like 13 or 14 or something like that. I never kept track of what season it was, but it wasn't that I didn't enjoy it past that. It's just I kind of fell out because we got rid of TV. I just stopped watching episodes, and I found that it became a little too topical after a while. But the other problem I had was because I missed season after season more current stuff. I figured that's what the game was going to be about. Apparently it isn't. Apparently it goes way back, like to jokes from like season 1, like the good, like the really awesome stuff like I enjoyed like when I very first started watching it. And apparently it goes all the way back and just spans basically the entire series. And I found that to be, well, first off, amazing, and second off, it seems like it adds a lot to the gameplay too because of all the jokes they work it into, the mechanics and the story, the characters, and kind of all that stuff. So apparently I have to go back and play that one. So I'll give it a try. I it's not to say like I haven't found it funny from the scenes I've seen of it and everything, but it's just something I never expected that I would have enjoyed until basically everyone said, "You're an idiot, go play this." One of the ones that was apparently kind of disappointing, but I want to go back and play just because I love the open world Grand Theft Auto-esque kind of thing, is Watch Dogs, actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I've heard that one it wasn't all it was cracked up to be kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I really dug the initial trailer that they brought out. They had a lot of hype around it and everything. And because things have kind of cooled down around it now, I think it's a good time to go back and play it just because you don't have those really high expectations for it and everything. Whereas before, if I saw the trailer when they first initially showed it at E3 and they gave me a copy of it the next day saying, "Go play this," my head would have exploded and I would have been dead. Like it would have been so amazing that and then I would have been thoroughly disappointed, I think, because I would have had such high hopes for it. But now, being a couple years after the fact and it has the DLC and I can go in knowing that it isn't the greatest thing since sliced bread. I can go in and maybe actually enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of enjoying it on a different level at that point. So I do want to go back and play that one, and again, that's another one that I could easily borrow off of a friend to play through. And then the final one is a big one for me because I absolutely love Metal Gear Solid, but I have never finished Metal Gear Solid 3.
Ooh!
because I think I talked about this in the Konami episode or something like that, but it was the fact that when I tried to play Snake Eater for the first time, it was the shitty top-down camera, and it made the game almost impossible to play because they added in all the AI and all the enemy AI and all the enemy abilities of what a third-person shooter should have at that current date, but they kept the old-school camera, which they just did not jive together because when you're sitting there and the camera is almost straight top-down on your character, yet you have an enemy that's 100 yards out that can see you plain as day. Doing all your shit, it makes the game almost impossible because it's like you might as well just spin the camera backwards and then use your ears to like listen to them or something because it's basically the same thing. You are at such a handicap in that game that it made it no fun whatsoever. I mean, there's some people out there, I love the challenge of the game and this, that, and the other, but you know what? I wanted to play it just to play the game. I like the story, I like the characters, I just love the ridiculous kind of nature of a lot of the stuff. I just wanted to play through it. I didn't... Like, if I want a challenge, I'll go beat myself up in a Souls game. Like, that's... If I'm going to dive into a game that is supposed to be hard, I'm going to do it because the game as a whole is supposed to be hard, not because the camera is an asshole. Like,
you know what? I played through that game with that camera. And
yes, you played the original Snake Eater. Yeah.
Someone who played through that whole game, I will say, yes, that camera was shit. Like, there were so many times, because they got rid of the Soliton radar and the vision codes.
Yeah.
So you couldn't see their trajectory like you could in the other games, even though those other games, sure, they were in bases that were very angular, but still, there were other times that you would have gotten caught if you didn't see the guy on the damn radar.
Exactly.
That game did not have that. They had sonar, but still, you couldn't tell how close they were.
Well, there was that, and there was also the fact that you had to use batteries for everything.
Yeah, that's
which
true,
was horrible. Like, So kind of, it really took the piss out of it for me. So it was, it is one that I want to go back because apparently playing is the subsistence.
Subsistence, yeah.
The subsistence version is like night and day. So yes, I definitely want to go back and experience that because. Again, it's one of those ones that's been touted as, like, this is the best Metal Gear game in the whole series.
My favorite.
Is crazy, because I've enjoyed basically all of them, so for it to be, widely known as the best one, I'm actually quite excited to play it. So that's one I definitely have to go back and try, just, being a fan of the series and actually having a playable version of it.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Actually, Dan reminded me of another game, because him and I had played... the crap out of Borderlands 2. Gone through the game, beat story mode, went back, did, New Game Plus or whatever, went
we
through
did,
it
like,
again.
New Game Plus.
Yeah, like quadruple pluses.
Amazing.
And then they brought out all this DLC, and, we got a bunch of it, and then we never finished it. I think we finished on the Captain Scarlet one.
Okay.
We did, the Mr. Torg's Wild Ride. We did another one in there. We never actually got to the Tiny Tina's Tower... or whatever. And then I think there was even another one after Tiny Tina's as well.
I think
they brought out another one after that.
Pretty sure there was.
So we completed some of that DLC, but not all of it. And I loved that game.
I
love that game. So it's not like it'd be hard to get back into it. It's not like trying to beat a whole story or trying to finish that last boss battle or whatever. It's like it's just the extra shit.
Yes.
Is that one of the topics on your list there about replaying games or playing games that you've played so many times, but it's almost part of your backlog at that point?
Actually, no, I haven't, but we can definitely talk about that.
It's funny because that is actually one of those
too.
Things, because I was going to mention quickly, is that Borderlands 2 was one of those ones where literally we have beat game plus, and I still want to go back and play it because the game is so good and has so much DLC, and you can just... There's almost infinite playability in that game. It's so amazing, and... But yeah, it's kind of just quickly on that topic of, you have that backlog of games, and it's just kind of sad sometimes. It's like, I have this brand new game waiting for me to play it.
Yeah.
But I want to play this game that I beat 4 times already, that I beat, a few years ago, and I just want to play it again.
Yeah, I just want to refresh it. I just want to relive it all over again. Yeah. I do that with the Ace Attorney series all the time. I do that all the time.
For sure.
one of my favorite games of all time is Infamous for PS3.
Yes, great game.
I have beat that game 4 times. There's only 2 endings to it. I beat it 4 times.
Yeah.
And honestly, recently, I thought about playing it again.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, I really shouldn't. I have so many other things I could play that are brand new experiences. But Infamous is just so good, and I want to play it again. So.
Absolutely. No, I have a similar thing with, well, the Kingdom Hearts games. One of the few games I've actually played and beat multiple times, specifically 1 and 2. Used to play through those ones quite often, and I'm actually playing through number 2 with the 2.5 remix.
Okay, yeah.
Very, very slowly.
See, and I have... That game is going to be, like, totally new to me. I've never actually played Kingdom Hearts 2.
I'm so excited for you.
So it's going to be totally brand... Because I always got to that point with Kingdom Hearts 1 and then never beat it. And so now I finally actually beat it.
Yes.
And now I feel like I can move on. Because I want to at least experience all of the Kingdom Hearts series in its entirety to some extent before Kingdom Hearts 2 comes out next year.
Sure. So. Definitely, I'm excited for you. I definitely want to talk to you while you're playing through that game because I want to see it through your eyes.
It's all new and fresh. Yeah, but no, we all have those games where it's like we just love them so much that it doesn't matter if we have like every single keystroke or every single button push or time sequence like memorized. Like I do that with Heavy Rain quite frequently, and even though I know basically the ending and I've seen different variations of the endings from having played through it so often, but it's like I still love that game. I still love the story. Even though you know how it ends, you still love experiencing it all over again, even if you've given yourself a break on it.
You have other games where you could just go in, plug that game in, and play it again, even though you have a massive backlog now?
Yes. One in particular, well, I guess 2 technically, but I mean it's meant to be 1 game. Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I'll usually play that every few years, and because Sonic fan, it's a life choice.
You know, that one's not too bad, because you can hammer through that in an afternoon,
That one is really easy to play through, and that's exactly it. It's very quick, but it's just every time, oftentimes when I'm hearing a lot of flack about Sonic, I'm like, people are like, oh, Sonic ever good? I'm like, was it? And then I play Sonic 3 Knuckles, like, yeah, it was. This game's so good.
He had his games.
Yes, he did. So that's the big one. That one, like the Persona, not Persona, God no, that's another story. But like the Kingdom Hearts games in particular are ones that I tend to just always enjoy going back to. I will often go to Metal Gear Solid 3 and play through. I played through that one about 4 times.
Oh really?
Yeah.
So that is your favorite.
So then. Yeah, it is my favorite. So, like, those are generally the ones, I think. I guess also Majora's Mask I played through multiple times.
Oh, that's, you know what? I am just aching to get a 64 again, because I want to play, like, I don't want an emulator version of it. I want a 64 controller in my hand. I want a 64 sitting in front of me.
Yes.
And I want to play Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask again. Especially Majora's Mask, because that one, in recent history, like, just within the past couple of years, has gained a huge following. And I was like, I don't want to sound like a game hipster or whatever. It's like, honestly, I was huge into Majora's Mask. But when that game first came out, I was like, this is a fucking game changer. This is an amazing game. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
And people tore it to shreds when it first came out.
I experienced the exact same thing. Yeah. I totally know what you're talking about.
And I didn't want to be like, oh, I liked it before, it was cool kind of thing. But I did. I honestly did. I got it for Christmas one year, played the shit out of it. I beat it a couple times. And it still is one of my favorite games, because it is... for a Zelda game, it's super dark.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just, it has so much variety, and it's just so well built.
Yeah.
Ocarina of Time has that kind of nostalgia, and it's just a good, solid adventure game. But Majora's Mask just has a bit extra to it. There's a bit more flavor to it, and it's just so well done.
Yes.
So yeah, you can play it in any format. Because, they had they had a 3DS version of it too,
yes,
right?
Which I bought recently.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I thought they, re-released it or whatever.
Yeah.
It was
So,
kind of remastered, quote-unquote.
People have no reason not to experience it. Like, you have to play it. It's just so well done. Absolutely.
But yeah, I'm just going to quickly go through a couple of games that are on my backlog, at least some of the more glaring ones.
Shoot.
Odin's Sphere. For the PlayStation 2.
See, and that's one that I've never played before.
No.
Because we played some Dragon's Crown.
Yes, which is great.
And you were just like, you have to play Odin's Sphere now. And I was just like, yeah, I saw my buddy play it once, and it looked kind of interesting. But now you're just like, you're an idiot. Go play it. Like, right now. Drop everything and go buy this game.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if it's anything like Dragon's Crown, I'm down. Like, it's really, really good.
Super interesting. And this one actually has a much better story than Dragon's Crown. I was a little... I I don't think disappoint's the word, but at Dragon's Crown I was like, oh, it's a shame the story's not quite as up to snuff.
Was it because they focused on 4 people instead of one,
Yeah.
like one hero kind of thing?
Not necessarily, because the other games had, like, well, in particular, Odin's Sphere had a bunch of characters, and there was, like, multiple storylines. I think the thing with Dragon's Crown is that they were more going for a Dungeons & Dragons feel.
Oh, okay.
And, you know what, it works. Like, that game's great, and the story's not that interesting, but I always, like, look at it like, you know, there's a bunch of people playing D&D, and somebody's, like, being the voice actor for, like, you know, being the narrator. It's like, you know, Deckard Cain, like, stay a while and listen. But Odin's Sphere has a really interesting storyline, very steeped in Norse mythology, and it is just an interesting game, and that is being re-released, actually. So,
that's right, they were doing like an HD re-release of it.
So
I might actually get a chance to play it in a more glorious HD, because when I saw it even on a PS2, it was a fucking amazing looking game. Like, I don't know how they did it, some kind of voodoo magic or something.
The art style's just incredible.
Yeah, they did such a great job with it, so... Yeah.
Absolutely. So that one's big. I already mentioned it, but Tales of the Abyss. I don't
now, what is that one? I have no idea what that game is. So.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard of or played or seen some of the Tales series, right? Like Tales of Symphonia being one of the most popular ones in North America.
Yeah.
It's one of those games. This one in particular is a little bit interesting because it's very much similar to Tales of Symphonia. Biggest change I can think of is the fact that, well, just one of the biggest changes that I love is because Tales of Symphonia, you could actually play multiplayer, but things the camera only it's only during battles, obviously, and then the camera will only follow player one. In Tales of the Abyss, they fixed that, so you can play multiplayer during fights, and the camera will spread out so you can see the other person.
Oh, okay.
So, which is like, you know, small change, but makes it so much better. So I played that game with my brother a lot, but I always dropped that game for years, and I was just telling these guys I will make notes at what I did last time, and then return to it like a couple years later, and then keep playing it, and then stop. And I'm starting to feel a hankering for that game again. So I think I'm very close to the end. I think I'm like 60 hours into that game.
Holy crap! So 60 hours over years and years of owning it.
Yeah, it's really strange, and like the mechanics are a little bit difficult to get back into. But all you need to do is just have a bit of a refresher from reading about it or watching some YouTube videos, and you know what you're doing. Then you're back in. So that one's always been like, my bugbear, I guess, or my white whale, I don't know, whichever thing you want to say. Let's see, another one that I've been wanting to play a lot is Monaco, actually. This really cool indie game that I got on Steam. It's a top-down stealth game.
That's a heist one,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, it's a heist game. That game is so stylish and so fun. And it is just really cool. It's got a great sense of style to it. The multiple characters with different abilities, all very color-coded. So when you're playing multiplayer, which I did with my older brother because he has it too, and we live together. Our PCs are just in our rooms or whatever, so we play that, and it is just tons of fun. So as soon as you see somebody else with a different color, you know exactly what they're capable of doing. So you automatically kind of try and use your abilities to the best you can, and like, okay, that person is the guy who knocks people out, so I know I can wait at this corner, he'll knock out the guard, and then we can go together.
So it's a co-op game. Like, you have like a hacker, and you've got like a wheelman, and like all this kind of like different abilities or whatever. So.
Exactly. Well, you can play it on your own too. That's the crazy thing about it. You can get through the whole game on your own, but there's so many different areas and different abilities and different ways to go in and out of place that playing it multiplayer, like, oh, I totally didn't even think of going down this road.
So this is, it sounds like, to me, like, this should be played on Kita, because, we'll get...
oh, yeah.
Because we could easily get, the three of us in the heist mode.
Oh,
and,
yes.
And, we got Garry as the hacker. And,
yes.
And, like, oh, my God, this can be amazing.
Yes,
we
absolutely.
Totally play that.
Very much so. I very much think so, because that game is great, and if you guys haven't tried it yet, you will love it. It is fun. With some awesome, cool, stylish music, too.
You and your music.
I love it. I love it a lot. Let's see. So, just a couple others real quick. I do want to go back and play Peace Walker, because I do love playing Metal Gear Solid games. I watched that one, and it was a ton of fun to watch. But I do want to experience it, especially because Metal Gear Solid 5, they got rid of the voice actor for Snake. Like, it's Kiefer Sutherland now, and he's also almost a silent protagonist, so I was like, this isn't the big boss that I know and love. So I kind of want to go back and experience another, big boss again.
Yeah.
Being big boss and being all like, war, Metal Gear, and all that jazz.
And honestly, for was it PSP or PS Vita?
It was on the PSP.
Okay, so for a PSP game, apparently it was quite good.
It was that was the best looking PSP game I've seen, and there's so much content in that game. Like
now they did a re-release of that one,
yes.
like with a camera control, because I mean the
yes.
PSP did not have 2 joysticks, so
no.
It was a little limited in what you could and couldn't do. But
yes.
they made like a remastered version that could use a camera, and like apparently that just opened it like wide open. It made it a really really good game. Apparently a bit easy because you had the camera controls.
Yeah, it makes it quite a bit easier.
But still a really good game
in
the series. So
absolutely, and the camera controls were very much it was very much. I think the team would have wanted to do that if they could, because it feels like it was meant for that.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah, so yeah, and I do have that, HD version as well. So I will, if and when I go back to it, I will hopefully go to that one. And then just as I said earlier, of course, I want to go back to Human Revolution, Deus Ex.
Yes.
Got to finish that one. Same with Dishonored, and there was also. This one is probably one of the biggest ones too. Red Dead Redemption.
Oh my god! Have you never played it?
I played through a large portion of it. But I didn't make it to
you
Mexico.
at least have some experience with it. You know that it's a good fucking game.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Anyone that has not played Red Dead Redemption, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Play it. Like? It is absolutely stellar. That is one of the best games of all time.
I think that's Rockstar's best game. Like I played a lot of Grand Theft Auto 5 and I enjoy it, but I think
it was because Grand Theft Auto is an amazing game on its own merits and everything. That they did an amazing job. They had well fleshed out characters, the world, like they just nailed everything in that. Mm-hmm. The thing that stands out about Red Dead though is that they didn't so much have a world to base that on. Like they had like the Old West, they have the ideals of and stuff like that, but they took all that stuff and they made it feel real. Yes. Like they really nailed the feel of the whole world, not just like the dusty little towns, not just the gritty characters, but the world as a whole.
It felt organic.
It felt very organic, because no matter what you were doing, whether you were running between towns on your horse and getting attacked by a cougar, or like going to attack some of those like little adobe fortresses and stuff like that. Like no matter what you were doing in that game, it just felt like it belonged there. It felt natural, and it just really really immersed you in the whole world. Because some people like they watch Western movies and they think like, oh, that's straight up like it always just takes place in this town. Everyone wears a cowboy hat and stuff like that, and that isn't what it's like. I mean, like they nailed the costumes because not everyone dressed like that, and not every town was that dusty little single street town, and like they just got it. Even like horse travel and the like the train robberies and like just everything, like they got it all right. So absolutely. And they did an amazing job. That's why even though it is like just like a PS3 game, like they haven't made an HD remaster yet anyways. I'm sure they will. It's so worth playing because it is a different experience. You're not just playing Grand Theft Auto Clone at that point. No, I mean, there's definitely you can see the
DNA.
You can see it's definitely there, but it's its own experience and it's totally worth playing.
No, absolutely. Like that game just had such an interesting feel and it felt different. I mean, we were talking about this before, right? Like I'd love to see that team do different eras because of how well they
represented the Western genre.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. After sitting here stewing for a little bit, just thinking of like listening to the games that you guys have on your backlogs and stuff, and games that you want to go back to, like immediately. There is one game now that I've gotten into like Final Fantasy genres and stuff, and it's like it's in my head because it's like recently activated.
Yeah.
I got about like 10 minutes into The World Ends With You.
Oh my god,
I feel like right now that would be something I would actually go and dive into like in like 5 minutes from now kind of thing. Like I would go I would go in and play through it. I think Dan's played through it. I don't know.
Yes.
I have to. Yeah. One of my favorite Square Enix games the past few years.
Yeah, because we had talked about that on the last podcast because it was really one of those out of nowhere games.
Yes.
Because it just had this amazing art style and an interesting storyline and amazing music. We were talking about music, and that was one that actually, because I'm not. I said before, like I'm not a big music guy. Like I just don't notice it's there. Like I look at kind of character style and game style and stuff up front. It's not so much graphics, but just the style.
Yeah, the art style.
And that's what I noticed first, whereas Nadu notices music first. Well, that game obviously had amazing music in it because that was one of the first things I noticed about it.
Oh, yes. Like, that, the music is such a large part of that game because it's so much... is in line with the style and the feel and the culture of what's going on in that game. So, oh, man. Oh, that's another one that's so good. I'm so glad that you're playing that. You're going to play that.
Yeah.
Well, then we can talk about, we can go Square Enix crazy in like the next couple weeks.
Oh my god, yes.
I'll just relive, I will live all these games for the first time ever, and you can just vicariously relive them.
Oh, yes. Actually, just speaking of Square Enix games, that reminds me of one that is on my backlog that I keep looking at. I downloaded it on PSN, and it's a PlayStation 1 game, Vagrant Story.
Oh, I've heard that one's quite good.
That game is so very interesting. It's I think it's actually technically part of the Ivalice games in the Final Fantasy series. So, like, part of the Final Fantasy Tactics, Final Fantasy 12. Apparently, I think it's actually canonically part of that world, even though it's not a Final Fantasy game.
I know. It's kind of weird how they run some of those games. Sometimes it's really hard to tell like what they're putting down. But you know what? I don't even care.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as you enjoy the game, that's all that really matters. Because I mean, if you spend all your free time like learning all the canon and learning how all these things fit together and stuff, you know. If that's your thing, good on you, but for the most part, you don't need to enjoy a lot of those games. Because it's not like, well, if you haven't played this game, you're going to have no idea what's going on in this game.
Yeah,
With the exception of Kingdom Hearts.
Well,
but
after looking through backstory on that, I'm like, how?
No, but that's because that's a Kingdom Hearts game after Kingdom Hearts game. We're talking about, like, different named games.
Yeah, it's almost like they're just,
like,
parts of the same universe, like they're pulling, like, a Marvel universe kind of thing.
Yeah,
it's like, these are all part of the same thing, but... they're all experiencing their own story and their own life, and sometimes they cross and sometimes they don't. Sometimes it's parallel universe, etc., etc.
Yeah, they're the same universe, but eons apart. I'm like, who cares? Like, it's the reason I think that's kind of interesting for Vagrant Story is just because of the style of that game. Like, just the art style of that game very much looks similar to some of those, like those
Tactics, doesn't it?
Yeah, to Tactics, absolutely, and also Final Fantasy 12. And I just. Like, I remember when that game came out, another one that I wanted so badly that I just couldn't buy because I didn't have the console for it. But that game is really interesting, and you see a lot of the DNA actually from interestingly, from Parasite Eve, and also later down the line, Final Fantasy 12 in that game. So
that game's actually more like a action RPG than a full like JRPG.
I don't think I'd be able to describe its style system very well because I've only played it very briefly. But yeah, it's interesting because you'll go through a level and you'll find an enemy encounter, and but the thing is that you'll pause during the action and target specific parts of its body, and then you'll.
But you still run around.
Yeah,
and stuff.
You still run around real time.
Still very Parasite Eve then.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a highly fascinating game with a really interesting story too. So I want to get back to that one. Oh boy.
Yeah, like I said, you picked a hell of a genre to have in your backlog. It's just like when your average game is 60 to 70 hours.
Such a mistake. Oh, don't worry. When I'm retired, all these games will still work. It'll be great. So just kind of round it out before we kind of get to what we've been doing this week. If you guys want to quickly talk about future games that are coming out and if you're planning on buying them right away or waiting till they're...
Yeah, you know what, honestly, a big part of that is just stuff that's come out this year. This year has been a huge game year, and...
This game has been awesome.
And the problem is I still don't have a PS4, so it's kind of... It has its pros and cons. Its pro is definitely that, well, I didn't have to spend money on a system yet. And then the other good part about it is that, like, all these games... are going to be half the price next year, like when I get one, or this Christmas, or whenever I end up getting one, is that I can go back and I can grab, these 10 or 15 games that I've been waiting to play for like half the price or even cheaper, depending on like how well they did, basically. So there's kind of that part of it. Honestly, I can't think of too many specific ones other than the ones in very recent memory, but I know that there has been lots. Like, in recent memory, obviously, I have to play Metal Gear Solid 5.
Yep.
I want to play Mad Max. I've played the new Batman game. So what else? What are some of the other big ones that came out this year? Trying to think. Yeah, that's the thing is, like, it's just... They're out there. I mean, like, there's lots of them, and there's
more coming.
Yeah, and there's only more showing up. So, but that's the thing is, again, they're almost like locked away right now. So, and that's fine. I have no problem with that, and I will eventually get around to them. So,
No, it's I mean, for me, interestingly, it's so interesting when you're a kid and you know a game's come out, you're so excited. For me, it's like, a game's come out, I'm exasperated. But like, I'm never in a hurry. Like, Metal Gear Solid 5 is probably the first game in ages that I've been like in a hurry for it to come out. For me, like, there's some games that I bought earlier this year that I still need to finish. Like, I'm still working on Bloodborne ever so.
Oh, see, there we go. There's
yeah,
one
there's
right
another
there.
one. Yeah,
I didn't get to play Bloodborne.
Yeah,
so.
that's true. Yeah, I'm working on that one. Ever so slowly, but I'm getting there. And then I'm still working on The Witcher 3 and stuff like that. But as far as big ones coming out, I think the biggest ones I could think of, AAA games, like Fallout 4.
Fallout 4.
You know.
I'm probably going to be buying that on my PC unless it's, unless I get a PS4 by then. It's because that's when I have to play.
Yeah.
Like, that's when I just full blown, like, I'm buying this no matter what. I have to play this game.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of where I'm at with that one too. That'll be super interesting. And then Battleborn. Looking forward to giving that one a shot. As far as fitting those ones in goes, all I can say is I hope I'm finished with some of the games I'm playing now. I know I won't be finished with all of them. I just hope I'm finished with some of them. So, but the problem is, like, even with I borrowed Batman from a friend. I've been playing Bloodborne, but most of my free time, as limited as this, goes to Metal Gear Solid 5. So, I don't know. It's so little time.
You have to start making a schedule. That's basically how that
works.
Like, write in the schedule.
Yeah,
I'm going to be playing this for 2 hours this night, and this for an hour this night. And, might get a little dry, but,
that's what it's getting to, though.
At least you'll get through them.
That's what it's getting to. Like, I've actually was thinking about that. And how about you, Jamie?
Honestly, like, right now, there isn't a lot out that's, like, immediate that, oh my god, I have to play this right now. And a lot of it comes with the fact, too, that, like, the deal of having to, like, buy a new console to be able to play these games.
Right.
It's like, you're basically, it's almost like you're buying something to play the game, and then you have to, the game itself is like DLC for your console. So when you're thinking about it, if you have to go buy the console, and then you have to get the game, and then, possibly get extra controllers, all of a sudden this is like a really expensive $600 game. And I just I can't justify that right now when I have, like, I'm trying to do bring out some new cosplays and stuff, and so it's like, that's already an investment into putting money into new supplies or into new tools, and a $600 console with a new game can very easily be 3 brand new costumes that I could bring out just based on supplies and accounting for time in that, or investing further into bringing out, like, merchandise or things that people can actually buy of my cosplay, that it's like I can start regaining some of that money to put back into new costumes and working on using different types of supplies that, like, I wouldn't normally have the money to do that. I'm kind of just holding out until Kingdom Hearts 3 comes out, and so I'm just working on that, so that it's like I already have all the knowledge behind it, so that when that game comes out and I have the new console to be able to play on it, that at least, like, I'll have all that backstory, and
you can jump in.
Yeah, and I can jump in and know exactly what's going on and, like, all the history behind it. But in the meantime, I'm thinking about going back and playing Secret of Monkey Island, which is, like, my absolute favorite game. I pride myself in being able, like, the last time I tried to do a speed run of it, I did it in, like, just over 3 hours. So I pride myself on that. It's kind of a big deal for me. I feel like, though, that I could probably do it in a shorter amount of time, so I might actually go in and try to beat my 3-hour record on that. And then I'd honestly just, there were a lot of games when I was younger that I came from a family of me and 2 other sisters, and so there were a lot of games that it's like we weren't like a big gamer family. It was mostly just me and one of my other sisters, and I'm the youngest. And so there were a lot of games that, like, I didn't get to play when I was younger that are on like retro consoles. So, like, stuff like Mega Man and Metroid and like even going to like Nintendo 64 and stuff. So I feel like now that it's like, I might actually have some time, and like I can put it on myself to be able to go out and play those games. I don't have to ask my parents for money, or they don't have to, like, do research into it. Stuff. It's like, I'm an adult. I can play whatever I want to now. And invest as much or as little time as I want to in it, and not have somebody judging me or saying, go do your homework. that, maybe I should actually take the time now and actually go and play some of these old classics that I never got a chance to play when I was younger. And so that's also kind of cool, too, for everybody, because I'm going to be experiencing these games for the first time, and everybody else has had, possibly dozens of playthroughs in these old classic games, and I've never even, held a controller on the start screen with them. So, I don't know, I mean, maybe I should actually, start filming that. It might be kind of cool to actually, share this brand new experience of my playthrough with people that I know, absolutely love these series.
That sounds awesome. Oh man, yes, I will. Yes, if and when you do start doing that, please, we should definitely have a conversation about that, because again, it's cool to see games like that through somebody's eyes who hasn't actually experienced it, and you're just it's one of my favorite things, actually. I really enjoy that. All right, guys, just to round out, I guess we can quickly talk about what we've been doing this past week.
Yeah, this past week has not been about games for me. It has been about shows.
Yeah.
I went through and finally got into Rick and Morty.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And watched all the way up to not end of second season, but end of what they've shown so far.
What do you think of it so far?
It got better.
Yeah, it takes a while.
That's the thing is I saw the pilot way back, the actual pilot they showed on TV, not the short that they had on YouTube. But I saw that and I was just like, I don't know about this show. Rick was just rambling so much and it just really grated on me, and I didn't really enjoy it. But everyone's just like, no, you gotta watch it, keep watching it, it gets better and everything. And I agree, it absolutely does. After kind of the third or fourth episode, the characters start kind of fleshing out a little, and some of the stories are so crazy ridiculous that it is a good time. It's really funny. It's very direct comedy, so it's kind of just in your face, what they're. Because, they're swearing all the time, and it's just very obvious what's going on and everything like that. And I enjoy that. I like some subtle comedy, too, when they just try to, slip a line past you and everything. But, you know what? Maybe they'll kind of write more of that into it. But for the most part, it has been a lot more entertaining than I thought it was going to be. So, suffice to say, I have been enjoying that one. But the big one has been Daredevil.
Oh, wow, okay.
Oh, my God. I didn't know I could love a show so much.
Oh, nice.
Until I started watching Daredevil. We almost finished the full season this week. We watched up, I think we're starting episode 11 within the past, few days, basically. So we've just been, ripping through that, and I didn't even think it was possible, because Daredevil was never one of my favorite heroes, when I was younger. It's okay, cool, the martial arts thing, hand-to-hand combat and stuff like that, but I never really got into him.
Then they came out with that really shitty movie,
and then there was the
what
horrible,
is this?
I don't know what you guys are talking about. That movie didn't happen.
The horrible Ben Affleck movie that was just... Oh, it's just atrocious that even Stan Lee's no, that movie doesn't exist. It's I don't know, I was on drugs or something. And
that movie was
he just totally denies that thing ever happened. But the series is just, it's one of those things that not only is it so good, but it's so fucking amazing, because it's giving me a whole new respect for the character. Kind of like when I started playing the Arkham series of games, and I have a whole new respect for Nightwing and Robin. Robin especially, because he's just wow, they actually made Robin a badass, and I actually enjoy playing him more sometimes than Batman himself, because he does that martial arts, he flips around, he's got his bow staff and everything. It's really fucking cool. So to see Daredevil kind of portrayed that same way, where he wasn't just, I don't know, a guy in a red suit, and it just seemed kind of boring. They really, really, just built the whole world well, and the people, they've added drama, but it's not CW drama. It isn't tween, high school drama. It's realistic drama. Everybody has their flaws, especially in that one. They made it very, very dark and gritty, but in a very good way. It wasn't just oh, where are the drugs? And, that kind of Batman-esque kind of thing. They did a good job and made everyone very human. He gets cut up and beat up a lot in this. There's blood. There's
a lot of violence.
There's blood. There's really good violence in it.
There's whole episodes where he can't even move because he got his ass kicked so bad.
And, and I think one of the parts that really struck me well, too, was that with everyone being so human, they made even the villains human, too.
The villains are great.
Kingpin or Wilson Fisk, because I don't know if they eventually call him Kingpin, because there's so few episodes to go, but they made Fisk very human in that, and I found that interesting because I was just like, it wasn't so much that they were just giving him flaws for the reason of giving him flaws, but they, I can't remember the guy's name who acts as him, but he does a good job because when he talks, he sounds intimidating, but when he's in public, like doing speeches and talks, he sounds awkward. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, that's actually really amazing because he portrays that because that's what his character is in that, because he did work in the shadows and stuff like that, and when he kind of does that thing and goes public and everything, it's interesting because, like, he does sound awkward, and it sounds like he's having trouble just trying to speak to a public and everything, which is weird because he's like this big, like, mafioso type guy, and he's very intimidating, beat the crap out of everyone. Yeah. But he's still extremely human when it comes down to it. Mm-hmm. And then and same thing with Daredevil. It's like he has his flaws definitely, and just pretty much everyone when you get into a show like that, normally there's characters just like, oh man, I can't fucking stand this. I can't wait till they die or they get written off the show or do whatever. But now, like, in it right now, it's like I like every character in the show, it's just I can't stop watching it. Like it's so well done.
Every villain and hero is interesting and well written. Like all the main characters are just great in that show. I fully agree.
Oh, and just a quick note is like when they announced that the Punisher was going to be in the second season. This was before I'd seen the show. I was like, oh, I don't know, Punisher's a pretty violent character. And then I ended up watching like the first 3 episodes. The first night I was watching, I was like, oh my god, Punisher could not be more at home in this series. So no worries there. He fits right in. So I cannot wait to see him in the second season.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Wow. How about you, Jamie? What have you been? Oh, sorry. Were you done?
No, I'm done. Yeah, go ahead. I'm done gushing on that. So.
That show's awesome. I don't blame you.
Well, if it hasn't been stated enough, obviously I've been on this big Kingdom Hearts high because like this week, I finished the first game and then I watched through 8 days over 2. And then I started playing Rechain of Memories and then hated the crap out of the gameplay style.
Yep.
You know what? And I didn't mind the whole thing of like going through the doors and going through the separate rooms and that. Like that I didn't mind. Yeah. It was a really interesting way to showcase like a different way of doing like encounters with enemies and that. And like I thought it was really interesting that it didn't have like this whole open world type of thing. In the way that the first Kingdom Hearts game did, where it's like you go into the world and you have your areas, but then you can just wander around freely. Yeah. So I thought that was a really cool way of presenting things, but that card-based battle system, it was almost like shock to the system coming out of Kingdom Hearts 1. Even though like you're still the physical buttons are still all laid out the same. Like you still have your targeting. You're still hitting the same buttons, and you're still moving around the same way. But yeah, that card-based battle system is not something I can get into. So then, like I was saying earlier, I ended up going out onto YouTube and finding someone who had taken all the cutscenes and taken all like the heavy dialogue scenes and spliced it into like a 3-hour movie. And so I watched that movie and then obviously watched the other movie as well. And then I started doing some research into some of the backstory because there were some story parts that I'm like, I'm not sure I understand how these characters relate together or like where in the timeline some of these things happen. And I really wanted to understand more of the Kingdom Hearts lore, until I can get the 2.5 mix. I wanted to understand a little bit more about what I just watched.
Yeah.
Because obviously, like I, it's not like I didn't understand. I'm not stupid. I understand that these are different characters or whatever. Sure, but it's just that context.
Yeah.
To be able to relate to whatever the next thing is that I see or play.
Right.
And so then I ended up doing a little bit of research and actually finding out like where everything happens in the series. Like this game is followed by this game. This game overlaps into this game and ends between these two. Or there's this cinematic sequence that happens at the end of this game, which is considered the true ending, and you should watch it like in between here. So there's some parts of it where it's like, I know I'm not going to play this particular game or whatever, so then I go and watch the cinematic, like a cinematic version of it. So I'm kind of thinking that, at this point I might go back and watch what I've already, the 2 games that I've already watched, but actually try to start following an order so that I can really understand the context of everything before I get back into physically diving into the next game in the series.
Right.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Cool. Oh my goodness.
Kingdom Hearts High.
Yay.
And you gonna do? What have you been
Yeah,
up to,
what have you been
Mr.
doing?
Metal Gear Solid 5?
I don't know what you're talking about, except, yes, that's pretty much it.
Collecting sheep?
I've been collecting all kinds of sheep.
Do you have like an entire platform that's just full of sheep?
I haven't unlocked the zoo yet, so no, I don't have
okay.
it, but I will soon. I've been chasing after a bear as well, like, recently, but
Just
that
to
guy's
have
pretty
a
tough.
bear?
I need a bear, obviously. What kind of zoo/circus exploitation would I have if I didn't have a bear? So yeah, I've been playing that game a lot. I've actually been wasting a lot of time on the side ops. But my older brother told me earlier, just yesterday, I think, actually, he's like, dude, you should advance the story, because you can get better soldiers. I'm like, oh, my soldiers are shit, no wonder. So, I'm looking forward to, this isn't a spoiler, but once you unlock a certain ability from your mother base, you're able to actually play as the soldiers that you capture. So I'm looking forward to playing as Hissing Boar, Punching Rhino, let's see.
Are these like randomly generated
Yeah,
names?
randomly generated
Oh my
code
God.
names. They're
That's so
amazing.
good.
There's so many great ones. Let's see, Raving Octopus. There's a couple others that have some pretty great names and have really creepy looking faces. So I'm looking forward to playing as these guys for shits and giggles. Besides that, I played a little bit more Bloodborne. Had a really good duel with somebody in... I lost, I will say, but I had a really good duel with somebody in the Nightmare of Mensis, which is one of the last areas. This person was wielding a Chikage, and that's one of the most powerful weapons because it drains your health, but when you're using it in double-handed mode, but it's incredibly powerful. So he or she killed me immediately, but then I came back, and when I came back, they came back into my game again. And so we danced around each other for a good somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. We were dancing around each other, fighting.
Suffice to say, it was well met.
Oh yes. And in the end, they killed me. The problem is, Nightmare Mensis, if you're out in the open in a certain area, you will keep getting damage, and your insanity will rise, or your madness will rise. So I was very much stymied. So anytime that they took a lot of damage, they go in on the open and heal. I'm like, I can't really do much.
Yeah, you can't do much with that.
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, this is, like, I'm going to lose, but this has been a fun duel, so, yeah, I think that's kind of been it. I haven't really been playing too much else. I got into the beta for Skyforge, but it's an open beta, and I was kind of been playing that. It's not that interesting, but the graphics are nice.
Yeah, it's nice to look at.
So that's kind of been it, so,
okay,
yeah.
Cool. All right, well, I guess on that, what do you guys think? We want to hear about your backlogs. Like, how many games do you have on your Steam list? And how many have you actually played?
Oh, God.
Because of those damn Steam sales.
Yep.
So, yeah, like, what's on your backlog? What do you still have to play? Or what have you played that you think that we should play? Like, either games we mentioned or we haven't mentioned. Because obviously there was a lot of them. I can't think of every single game that I've wanted to play, because... holy shit, there's probably thousands, if not tens of thousands.
Yep.
Yeah, so leave that stuff down in the comments, and I think that's about it for this week.
Absolutely. So yeah, absolutely. Well, you know what? That's it for us.
So yeah, as usual, don't forget to
like,
comment,
and subscribe.
KitaCast out.